If you find yourself frustrated and angry in your relationships, take a walk with me. If you haven't read or listened to the book The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, I highly suggest it. A lot of what you experience in your relationships can be attributed to having an upper limit problem. A brief example of this is you win the lottery, and you've only ever had one standard of living. Sometimes it raises, sometimes it lowers slightly. Now all of a sudden you have this overwhelming excess of abundance. And this is something you've never experienced, and it was never modeled to you. And you find it difficult to be a good steward of that abundance. And you already have a pre-existing set of core beliefs or programs about abundance and money. Things like money doesn't grow on trees. That's not for you. Our family doesn't do that. We don't have access to that kind of stuff. And it's actually really uncomfortable to be in this new place of abundance because you're just not used to it. And oftentimes, when you're in a heightened state of stress, you will default to your original programs and beliefs. And this is where the self sabotage comes in. And one mindset shift that needed to happen was for you to get curious. In order to keep the money, you have to gain a new skill and understand how money works. I appreciate the newfound abundance. I appreciate the money. I have gratitude for everything that I've been able to receive. But I've allowed myself to cultivate some self awareness around this situation. So before I spend all my lottery winnings, I need to figure out how people who have money treat their money. How do I get this money to work for me? How do I grow it? And how can I keep that growth sustainable over a long period of time? But this also happens in our relationships where we're not curious enough to learn about the way the other person thinks, acts, and feels. You're outcome driven on only what you can get from this relationship. And you're not actively doing this. This is something that's happening subconsciously. You grew up with a story that somebody else is meant to complete you instead of recognizing that you're already worthy, whole, and complete. When you're able to recognize, accept, and acknowledge your wholeness, that's when your relationships change for the better. That's when you learn to no longer give your power away to other people or situations. You realize that the path forward is to get curious about your relationship with this other person. You recognize that we do our best healing in relationship with another. It's a path of discovery and healing our core wounds. And yes, you can do some of the inner healing work by yourself, but the best healing comes in relationship with another person. And it's those types of relationships that give you those aha moments of all the things that you still need to work on together and separate. So get curious about your partner, learn about them, and realize that everyone is perfectly imperfect.